Welcome to Learnedze Networks. In this video, we are going to look at how to start your Cisco SD-WAN on-demand learning labs from Learnedze Networks. So the process is same even for the other technologies as well, not just for Cisco SD-WAN. First, log into your account with your registered credentials or the credentials provided by the Learnedze Networks team. So once you log into the networks, you will see the courses associated with you. You can just click on Start Cisco SD-WAN OMP Lab and then click on Start the Lab button. So there will be a small quiz. It is nothing but the confirmation to start the lab. Just select yes and finish the quiz and click here to continue. Okay, so once the lab is started, so it will take 15 minutes timer. It will show you the timer here, and you do not close or refresh this page until you complete this particular lab is completed or expired, right? And duration of the lab is 2 hours, and you will also have access to the lab guide by clicking this button associated for this Cisco SD-WAN OMP lab, and you will have access to the lab management PC once the timer is done, and you will also have information about the lab expiry. You can see that the lab expiry details here. And if you have any issues during your lab time, you can just send an email to support@learnedze.com. Okay, and before the lab starts, you can just click on the lab guide, and then you can see the lab guide pops up. It's just that you just need to click into the lesson and then the lesson content, right, and then individual topics. Just click on this, and then so this lab requires very good understanding of Cisco SD-WAN templates, and if you're not familiar with the templates, perform the templates lab before doing this particular lab. But of course, we assume that you have the templates lab or the templates concepts understanding of the Cisco SD-WAN already. So now let us look into the let's say you need to mark complete in order to go to the next topic, right? But once you make the topic completed, you can just navigate between them. So otherwise, let's say if you want to directly go to another topic without marking the complete, you will not be able to access. It will show you that please go back and complete the previous lesson, right? So let us click on back, or you can just go ahead and see whichever is not completed here. Just go to that and then see, okay, so this is the topology for this particular lab, and mark complete. And then so you have completed this particular lesson topics. You can just mark complete for the entire lesson. You can see the status here, it is half completed. You can just mark complete for the complete lesson, right? And now it will take you to the next lesson and then the topic, and it will show you the lab access guide. It is a general lab access guide where initially you will have access to the lab management PC, and once you have access to the lab management PC, how exactly you can access each individual device, right? So for example, it will show you a login screen, and then you need to use the login credentials that has been popped up here. Okay, and after that it will give you the desktop where you have the empty putty in order to access SSH terminal for each individual device in the topology particular to this particular specific lab, right? And then it will open up. Okay, and also for the GUI, if you want to access the vManage, you can just click on the vManage. There will be a vManage UI that can be popped up, or you can also open a normal browser, the Firefox or the Chrome, whichever is available on the desktop, and there will be a bookmark on those specific browsers for the vManage. Okay, and then depending on the lab, there might be other tools as well. For example, if you want to generate impairment and then on the specific links, for example, if you want to create an application aware routing policy and you want to test the application aware routing policy by injecting packet loss or the latency within the lab, you can use those specific tools. But these specific tools will be available only in that application aware routing lab or wherever the lab mentions or the lab says so, right? And if you want to access the other desktops within the lab topology, you will be having a VNC viewer. Within that, you can just open the individual desktops depending on the specific lab topic that you are performing, right? And then the device credentials as well. Okay, so once you will have the device credentials for each and every device. Now let's say once you mark complete this, you can mark complete the whole lesson of this, but anyway you will have option to go back for the completed lesson, or you can navigate between the completed lesson. For example, if I go back and look into the topology, I can look into the topology now, right? So next let's go to the individual tasks. For example, the overlay management protocol. Let's look into the individual overlay management protocol. In this section it's just an introduction, and then we will show you how you can log into the vmanage with the credentials of the vmanage, right? Similarly here you are going to learn about the OMP, how it will work with the connected interface networks, or how it will work with the static routes, how will it work with the OSPF and BGP and all those stuff within this particular lab, right? So let us wait for this timer to appear in order to access the lab management PC. Okay, I'll just pause the video and then we'll come back. Now our lab is ready, and you can see the lab expires in next 2 hours, right? So let us click on the lab management PC. Okay, so now once the lab management PC is opened, we can just log into the lab by using the credentials provided here. Okay, these credentials are different from your account credentials. Okay, so let us use the So now you have access to the lab management PC here, and from here you can access all the lab devices, right? So for example, if we just go to the lab topology here, for example, let's say and we will have access to these devices: vbond, vmanage, vsmart, and then we have 3 vHs and 1 ch, right? And of course you will not be having access to all the devices, but to perform the OMP lab, whatever is required, you will have access to them, right? For example, it will show you to access the vmanage. You can just log into the vmanage, for example, right? So let us see, I have Firefox here. Let us open the Firefox, and then see we will have access to the vmanage. Let us say vmanage, log in with the default credentials, or you can look into the login details as well within the lab guide. So now you can see this lab is already coming up with all the devices are up and running, right? And then it is easy for you to focus on what exactly is mentioned within the lab guide, right? So that is like you have the OMP connected networks, so OMP verification of the connected routes and all those stuff, right? For example, if you didn't complete, it will not let you just need to mark complete for that particular lesson as well. Okay, so by default OMP advertises all the connected routes, right? So below are the networks in each site, so it just gives the details here, and then you can go ahead and verify from the each and every device. For example, network, or I can just go from here. Can just click on real time, select OMP advertised routes to see what the DCR1 is advertising to the vSmart, right? So you can verify all these details. So this is how you can access these devices using Learnedze on-demand labs. And for few labs, you will have direct access to the vManage, just in case if you don't want to access the from the management PC, and if you feel that the management PC is slow for you, so we have provided access on few labs directly. You just need to click on the vManage, and then it will open up the vManage directly from your browser itself. Okay, so you will have access directly from your browser itself to the vManage directly, but the direct access is only to the vManage UI. But if you want to access any of the SSH terminals of all other devices, you need to access them from the lab management PC. And on the lab management PC desktop, you have empty putty, and then you can just click on those devices. For example, DCR1, if you want to access, you can just click on it, and then you will have access to it. Okay, so this screen might change in future because we try to enhance a few of the features and then implement new features and all those stuff. But the idea of on-demand learning labs is basically this, and hope you will have more information on the new labs on our website. So visit our website for more learning labs.